I am here with Romans. Is it Roman or Romans?
Romans.
Romans, okay, because I thought you said Roman one day. And Kristina.
It's actually both.
It's both, right, okay, so either way is all good. And they have already delivered a presentation on how to build your agency for either a lifestyle business or an exit, but either way, how to remove yourself so that you're not basically just working a long, high-paid job. And so I wanted to get their perspective on camera, share it with you guys. I'll ask maybe you a question, then I'll ask you a question. But I suppose to start with, what's the main challenge that's stopping agency owners from removing themselves in the business?
It's themselves, essentially. If I boil down to one thing, it's self-awareness. It's less to do with, obviously everything is to do about operation system. We're not trying to prioritize what's more important, what's less important. If we prioritize what are the problems or what are the things that agency owners, or let's say sub 4 million a year agency owners need to pay attention to, is how they behave in the business, how they look at themselves, and what kind of leaders they are. Because all of that then translates into the rest of the business, into the team, into everything else. And to fix that, you got to be quite self-aware of yourself, of your problems, of where you want to be in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, what's your goal, and then take that self-awareness, take that clarity, and fuel it into your strategy, into your operations, into your team, into everything that you're doing. So again, if to summarize it into one big point, it's themselves. A lot of the times, the founder themselves is the blocker, whether it's mental, psychological, whether it's self-awareness or something else, and then everything else is kind of waterfalls from that.
And these guys gave away a really good resource, actually, which, do you mind if I share that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, which helps you become self-aware, because I think it's hard. You want to be self-aware, not even just in business, but probably in like generally in life. But it's hard to go from not being self-aware to becoming self-aware. And these guys have put together some very good questions that gets you thinking so that you can start to understand the bottlenecks in your business. And I'm also here with the Layla Homozy of the UK. She's based in Manchester, but she is an ops goddess. So I want to know from you, what's the main challenge? Because I look at big agencies sometimes and then I imagine they've got all of their shit together. And then I work with them in a collaboration, or we get one of their clients, and actually it's just not true. And they still have an operational problem. Not met an agency that doesn't. How do you go about fixing operations, and what are the things that you look for?
Oh, that's my favorite question. Well, it's not as simple as just fix this thing and everything else is just fixed. But what I usually go for is, most of the people doesn't know what their delivery process is, how their operations look like. And when I ask founders, okay, like run me through it or show me something that you have, they're like, oh, everything's in here. And I'm like, great. Your team cannot read your mind. I cannot read your mind. So let's put it on paper, or nowadays like digitally, and see where your business is basically leaking, what are your bottlenecks and all of that. And the very interesting thing is that they're very certain at the beginning that they know what their operations look like. And when they start mapping it out and putting it visually, they're like, oh, I don't actually know what exactly is happening in that part. I need to go and figure it out and speak with my team. And I'm like, well, your team doesn't know your operations because they operate in the different parts, but they don't know the whole picture, the big picture. You don't know it either. Well, how is this business even operating, right? And most of the times that's why they cannot scale, and that's why they cannot become more profitable, because you basically don't have a visibility of your bottlenecks, don't have a visibility of what exactly is happening with your agency. Well, that's the first step in order after that to make a plan how to optimize and how to basically get better at it. So the first thing that I usually look at is their processes, anything that's mapped out, and figure out what are the bottlenecks, and we'll start from there. But that's the foundation of operations. And prior to that comes the mindset that Roman spoke about.
So you're saying most agencies don't have clear processes mapped out?
No, they don't. They have some SOPs here and there stored in different places, but most of them doesn't have like an end-to-end mapped out workflow.
Do you have a way of making sure that it's mapped out correctly? For example, maybe there's a checklist, it also comes with a process flow and a video. Is there a way that you found is the most optimal if somebody doesn't have this recorded right now?
Yes, we tried that. We tested different ways of asking people to create it. If you just explain and ask them to go and create it, everyone have different interpretation. So some people started mapping out completely different stuff, like stuff about their delivery, but what their clients are getting, right? Like not exactly how you're building the product or the service, depending on what you're delivering. And for us, the main thing is to explain the purpose. So what does the workflow basically what's the purpose of it, why you're going to use it. And then to explain in a very simple language how broken down the steps needs to be. Because a lot of times people are asking me, okay, should I just put onboarding and then like call with the client and then something else, or should I break it down even more? And then when I say, well, this is very high level, they're like, oh, should I just take the tasks from my project management system and just link them all? And I'm like, well, this is very, very broken down, right? Yeah. So it's literally to give them the right level of how much in depth they need to go and how it needs to look like. I usually show them an example because this allowed them to paint the picture in their head, how it needs to look like. And then we speak about the purpose. And after that, like I do it with them so that they get a sense how exactly it feels for their own business.
Nice. And Romans, either. They're both correct. You guys have worked with agency owners that have gone on to exit, which is quite rare, actually. Like I know quite a lot of agency owners, but not many that have gone through that process. What are some of the key things that separate somebody that is successful and build a team that is sellable, that somebody else wants to buy, versus somebody that has an agency, makes good money, but actually it's just not a business that anybody's ever going to want to buy?
The main difference is in how you, in what you optimize for. And there are essentially two things to optimize for in the service-based business, whether it's an agency, consultancy, B2B professional service, right? It's either an exit, right? You aim to sell a business at some point, or it's a cash cow or a lifestyle business. They're mutually not exclusive, right? You can start with a cash cow and then with the time realize, well, I want to exit the business. The worst place to be is to be somewhere in between, or not to get clear on what you want to do, because a lot of times what happens in an agency business, because of its, I would say, cons, right? It's stressful business to run, right? You have to know why you're doing it. It is to get yourself in a place where you're kind of okay-ish with what with the state of the business. Maybe you've gotten used to the model. Maybe you're no longer passionate or energetic about the business. Multiple reasons. The idea is to get yourself back on track and clarify why you're doing this thing in the first place, and where do you want to end up with the business. So to answer your question, the difference is very simple. If you go for an exit, you need to look at yourself, at your team, at your business as, I would say, an enterprise value CEO, somebody who optimizes for a sellable business. So the goal here is very simple, is to remove yourself completely from the business or become a CEO, but not be involved in delivery or sales or marketing, right? Ideally, you want to be overseeing the strategic side of the business, but not be involved in any parts of the operations. And if you're optimizing for a lifestyle cash cow business, obviously what you're doing, you're optimizing for efficiency. Not you don't necessarily need to be out of the business. You can still be involved in marketing or delivery or whatever it is. Here, what you're doing, you're optimizing for your zone of genius, things that you enjoy doing the most, right? And it's absolutely fine as long as you're like, hey, I want to maximize my margins and I want to stack cash, and then figure out what I would do next. What I want to do next. Maybe it's a SaaS business. Maybe it's investments. Maybe it's something else, right? Maybe it's just have a family. But going back to your question, clarity in what it is you want, right? If you don't know what you want, maybe because you've gotten used to the model or to the problems that you're having at the minute, get yourself out of the context for a little bit, whether with a consultant, coach, somebody else, right? And realign your values, your why, and then decide what it is that you want to do with the business.
Understood. So what I'm hearing is to have the intent, because a lot of people are like, right, I want to grow revenue. I want to grow revenue by 20%, but they don't really know what they're building, and so they don't know what their day looks like or should look like at that higher level of revenue versus today. And depending on the type of business you want and the lifestyle, do you want to spend more time with your family? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to have cash in the bank? That is going to determine how you actively pursue your goals and what you work towards, not just the top line revenue numbers.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Otherwise, it becomes a business for the sake of business, and a business for the sake of business isn't sellable. It's not motivating. It's not inspiring. You're wasting your essentially time and life on the thing that you're not sure about. What's the point of doing this? Yeah.
True. I've got my presentation in about 4 minutes, so I'll ask another short question to both of you, actually. Quite an unusual question, but just to understand sort of the values you have and what you find important. What's a belief that you have that you keep at the forefront? It could be a quote, like I've got one, which is, it's on my tattoo on my arm, which is basically, those who think they can and those who think they can't are both right. And that's just something that's always at the forefront of my mind. What's a belief or a quote or a saying that you hold true and think about quite often?
For me, it is related to the business, but a little bit indirectly. It's you're unique. Everyone else is already taken. So just be yourself, right? And in a field where there are so many people doing the same thing or competition, sometimes people get lost into, I'm just another N person. You just need to remember that people doesn't have your experience, people haven't passed through what you passed in life, and you're just bringing your unique perspective. And this unique perspective, it's only you that have it. So empower it and just put it out there and see what's going to happen.
I love that. Use your unfair advantage as well, right? Because you had an e-com agency, that's how you guys met, and now you help other agencies. That's an unfair advantage. Before I started my e-com agency, I had an e-com brand. So how can you take what you have about yourself, your unique set of experiences that you've lived by, and put it in a way that makes you authentic? Because if you copy somebody else, it's obvious and it doesn't feel good. Nobody's attracted to that. What would you say for the same question? What do you think about? What's something that goes through your mind quite often?
That's a loaded question, actually.
You had the time to think about it, was it?
The first thing that comes to my head is something that I've been reflecting on over the past maybe a couple of months. It's do it for you. Whatever it is that you do it for you, not for anyone else. Interestingly enough, I've been working with a business psychologist over the past quarter, and he happens to be like a CBT psychotherapist, but he only works with entrepreneurs. And one area that we dig deeper is validation. Doing it for yourself, or doing it for somebody else, or doing it for some sort of unknown source, right? And it's extremely liberating, at least from my point of view, my experience, to not give a shit about anything or anyone and just do it for you and for your purpose. Right? When you're obviously in a relationship and a business partnership, it's getting a little bit more advanced, because like now you've got to unite different visions. We are very lucky that we've been aligned since day one. But either way, Don't give a fuck, do it for you.
Love it. Good advice. Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much.